Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm your host, TheDividendAristocrat, and today we're going to be reviewing my dividend income for the month of June. Now in this video, we will cover my portfolio's general performance for the month. We'll also take a look at forecasting on how the portfolio will look in 10, 20, or even 30 years, and we'll also jump in and see every single individual dividend that was paid out to me. If you guys do enjoy these types of videos and appreciate the transparency, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a ton. As a reminder, it's not financial advice and I'm just merely sharing my opinions on this channel. Now with that being said, let's start by taking a look at my portfolio dashboard. In total, I have invested $51,511 and my portfolio value currently sits at a record $67,500. Now this is the highest my portfolio has ever been, and it's honestly been a really good past couple weeks. I'm up 31.1% in total return, or an unrealized gain of $16,000, which is crazy. Now the market and many of my stocks are basically at record highs, and this might cool down in the coming weeks or even months, but right now it's been pretty nice seeing that portfolio value continue to climb, getting closer to that $75,000 mark. Now in total, I have earned $1,842 with dividend income, and every year going forward, I'm projected to be earning at least $1,000 per year, which to a lot of you might not seem like that big of an amount of money, but if you look at my previous videos, a lot of my older videos on the channel, you'll see that I had a much lower yearly projected income, and it's been climbing ever since. I still have a fairly long time horizon, and my main priority right now is total return and not dividend income. So in the future, if I want to rotate to more higher paying dividend stocks, then I can, but right now I'm focused on growth more than anything else. I personally like stocks that have a balance of growth and dividends because to me, it's a good way of accumulating value in the portfolio. In total, my current yield sits at 1.58%. My yield on cost because of price appreciation is higher at 2.07%. Now I currently have 21 different holdings, which you can see down here and also in this pie chart over here. And I'm not going to cover which stock I recently sold. If you guys want to see a video focused on that, let me know down in the comments below and I can definitely get to it. Now my cash position needs updating. I'm not sure exactly where it sits right now. I've been investing very heavily this year. I've invested over $16,000, honestly pretty close to $17,000 so far. So it might be a little bit lower than what we see up there. We are definitely on track to beat the record set by 2024, but I'm not sure if we'll quite hit $1,000 this year. That might have to wait until 2026. Now, in terms of which stocks pay me the most in dividend income, right now VOO is still the leader. It's my largest position in the portfolio by far, but we have SCHD following closely behind, and then some other high-paying names like Altria Group, ticker symbol MO, and we also have Target and Texas Instruments. Now in this month, we had some pretty large payers and we were pretty close to breaking the record set out earlier this year, but we didn't quite do it. I think we'll have to wait till later in the year to break that record. Next, we'll jump into my future value calculator where we can simulate what the portfolio might look like in 10, 20, or even 30 years. And if you guys want to grab your own copy of this future value calculator, try it for yourself for free, check out my Patreon. I'll leave the link in the description and the pinned comment. So my starting principal is $67,500. That is my current portfolio value, and my annual contribution is how much I'm expecting to be adding into it each year, which is about $12,000. My annual dividend yield is my dividend yield right now for the portfolio, which is 1.58%. And for the dividend increase and price appreciation, we can change it to whatever we see fit. Now we can change these values to whatever we want, but for today's example, let's set the dividend increase at 6.5% and let's set the price appreciation to a more reasonable 10% growth rate. Now with that in mind and taking of course some assumptions into consideration, the portfolio value could be about $3.4 million after 30 years with a dividend income of $18,000 per year. By that point, we would have earned $228,000 with dividend income, which would have been already invested back into the portfolio. Now, if we want to look at a more reasonable time frame, maybe 20 or 10 years, we can just click the drop-down menu, and right here you can see the 10-year mark. So after 10 years, at this pace of $12,000 per year going to the portfolio value will be about $350,000. Like I said, if you guys want to grab a copy of this to play around with it for yourself, check out the link in the description and the pinned comment. So without further delay, let's take a look at exactly which stocks paid out dividends this month. And what you're seeing right here is my order history tab. This is where I keep track of all my dividend history and also all my buys in the portfolio. So in the dividend history section, I order it by date usually. Sometimes I mess it up a little bit, but I have all my dividends in here. You can see Visa was the first one to pay out this month on the 2nd of June, and they paid out $1.80 because I have a very small position in this company. What you see right here in terms of quantity is how much it was reinvested to get into. So for example, $1.80 went back into Visa and it bought me 0.005 shares of the company at a price of about $360 per share. Now I'm not going to go into all that detail for every single one of these dividend pairs for the month, but you can see right here that Target paid me almost $24, S&P Global about $4.87, 3M at 81 cents, Microsoft at $339, Google at $736, Home Depot at $485, and Northrop Grumman at $238. Now for United Health, we have two different payments, one at $1348 and one at $1253. And the reason it's split into two is because I now own United Health in both my Vanguard investment account and my Fidelity investment account. If you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you know that I recently opened up a Fidelity account to try them out for myself because I've been a little bit unsatisfied with my experience with Vanguard so far. So for a lot of my new buys, I have been trying out Fidelity to see how I like it, and so far I am liking it a lot. Now, one thing I did not realize, and that's why these two are blank, is that Fidelity does not automatically set your dividends to reinvest. So I got paid out from United Health, but it did not reinvest it back into the company. Now, next week, I'll probably go ahead and reinvest this manually into United Health, and then I'll populate these sections to show how much I bought it at and how much of the quantity it was. I have now fixed it, so going forward, it will reinvest automatically, but I just wasn't aware it's something that I had to do manually. Now after that, towards the end of the month, we had a dividend from Booz Allen Hamilton at $17.71, which is a pretty large dividend, and that bought me back 0.171 shares. And then we had a pretty large dividend from SCHD at $59.30, and I do believe that's the highest dividend I've ever received from SCHD. Now using those proceeds from the dividends, I was able to buy over 2 shares of SCHD and reinvest them back in at a price of $26.43, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now in total, you can see there's a lot of dividend payers this month, and so this was a very large month of dividend income for my portfolio. Now in terms of buys this month, you can see all my buys right here. So the only ones I bought were SCHD and VOO, and that's because I make sure to invest in both of them on a weekly basis no matter what. Now, sometimes I do miss a week because I get a little bit busy at work, but besides that, I'm very consistent. So I buy 1 share each week of SCHD at the moment, and I buy $100 worth of VOO each week. So you can see that in the month of June, I was able to hit every single week 1 share of SCHD and then $100 of VOO, and I just repeat that throughout the whole month. I'm definitely going to continue doing this for this year, and then at the end of the year, I'll reevaluate when I do my investing plan for 2026 and see if I want to continue doing the same pattern going forward. Now hopping into my dividend calendar for 2025, I love showing this dividend calendar in the videos because I think it does a much better job representing where I got the dividends and how much they've been paying out so far this year. So for the month of June, you can see them tracked by the column right here. So in total, we earned $152.39, which is very close to that record set in March of $163.62. Now so far for the year, funnily enough, we are in a perfectly round number at $423. Now each company's dividend is tracked horizontally in the rows section. So you can see that Booz Allen Hamilton paid me $17.07 in March and then $17.71 in June. And I did not add any more shares of Booz Allen Hamilton this time. This is just from reinvesting those dividends and the dividend increases that this dividend has been growing. In total, I've earned $34.78 from the company so far this year. And by the end of the year, we'll probably be at about double this amount. Now on the other hand, for United Health, you can see that it was $10.66 in March and then $26.01 in June, and that's because between March and June, I bought a lot more shares in United Health as the price dipped significantly. If you guys want to see my stock spotlight video highlighting United Health and why I'm purchasing more shares of the company, I'll pin the video up here so you guys can check it out for yourself. Now VOO did pay in March, and I was expecting the payment to come out in June, but it actually came on July 2nd, so it's going to be spilling over to next month. Had this payment come right now in June, we would have for sure broken this record in March. We've been closer to $200 and something for the month. Now what I'm hoping for, usually SCHD and VOO both pay at the same time, I believe in November, so that should be a pretty large month for me. Now hopping into my monthly breakdown section, this is one of my legacy tabs in my portfolio that I keep track of. I made this before I had the dividend calendar, but I still think it's a pretty good example to use because it shows my amount invested and dividend received, and it does it by a bi-month basis from 2020 up until now. So in 2020, I first invested in the portfolio at $2,800 in 1 month. In October, I did a lump sum investment. And then in December, I got my first dividend at $12.45. Now, fast forwarding all the way down to 2025, you can see that I invest pretty significant amounts every month now. $1,784 in January, $3,200 in February, $5,400 in April, and in June, I invested $506. Now, the reason for the smaller amount in June is because my monthly goal is about $1,000 each month on average, and this is much higher than that right here. So I'm trying to cool off my investments unless there's some screaming opportunities. Now, I have been tempted to add more into my United Health and Booz Allen Hamilton positions, but at the moment, those positions are already so large, I think it just makes more sense to try to focus on my ETFs instead, especially since the market is climbing pretty aggressively right now. Now, highlighted in green is my record month in March, like we talked about earlier, and this current month is shown right here at $153.39, which you can see illustrated in this graph pretty well. Now, the reason the dividends are so sporadic is because a large percentage of a portfolio is in ETFs, and every time the ETFs pay out, it's a much larger dividend for that specific month. Over time, as more months are populated in here, it's going to start looking a little bit cleaner and you'll see a much clearer trajectory of where the dividends are headed. Now in these videos, I always like to focus in and take a look at the holdings that paid out the dividends. So we'll look at their specific performance and their yearly dividend income going forward, as well as the size of my positions in each company. Now, if you guys have made it this far into the video and are enjoying it so far, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like. Now, these are not all the stocks I own in the portfolio. I do own more than this. If you guys want to see a whole video highlighting that, I'll pin it up here as well. But right now, I did organize it from the largest total return to the smallest. So Microsoft is my best performing stock from the bunch, and then United Health is my worst performing stock at the moment. So scooting to the right just a bit, you can see how many shares I purchased of each company. At SCHD, I purchased 213 shares of this ETF at a current position of about $6,322, or a total return of 22% from that $5,175 investment. Now, Microsoft is currently up over 120%, making my best performing position within the portfolio, but Visa is pretty close behind at 70% total return. Now, flying all the way down to the bottom, we can see that Booz Allen Hamilton and United Health have been some pretty big losers in my portfolio, down 21 and 22% respectively. In total, I invested over $4,400 in each of them, but their current value sits at almost $3,500 because of those losses we've taken so far. Now, sorting by dividend earned, you can see that my highest dividend payer so far has been SCHD at $468 and then United Health at $75.92, followed by Target at $72.68. My lowest dividend payers so far, on the other hand, have been Visa and 3M. As you can see right here, Visa paid out $13.71 and 3M at $13.24. And it's because 3M, I only own one share, so it's a very small position, and it had a dividend cut about a year ago. And then Visa is also a small position with a very low starting dividend yield at just 0.66%. Now, in terms of which one is going to be paying me the most going forward, we can sort it from Z to A, and then we have SCHD at 230, United Health at 104, and Target at 96.78. At the bottom, we have, of course, Visa and 3M, which makes sense. And then in terms of yield, my highest yielder is going to be Target and then SCHD, but because SCHD is a larger position than Target, it pays me more per year in dividends. Now, just to wrap it up, we can sort the allocation as well. So out of these companies right here, SCHD is my largest one at 9.4%. And then we have Google actually at 9.3%, which is heavier than I want to have it long term. But currently at these prices, I think it was worth loading the boat on the company. So we'll see how it performs going forward. Now, Northrop Grumman and 3M are both very small positions in my portfolio. I own one share of each, and I've definitely been debating selling them off because I prefer to own at least 2% of my portfolio in a single company. If you guys have any thoughts on this, definitely let me know down below. As always, that does bring us to the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed taking a deep dive into my portfolio and my dividend income for the month of June. If you did make it this far into the video, let me know down below how much dividend income you received in the month of June. I'd love to know. Also, if you haven't yet watched last week's video where I talked about the 3 best stocks to buy in the market right now, check out this video right here. And if you want to check out the video before that where I talked about the only 3 stocks you need to buy in order to get paid dividends each month, check out this video right here. Remember, the best time to invest was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. I want to thank every single one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.